Today, we're going to visit Jacksonville, Florida. Tristyn Bailey was 13 years old at the time, an avid Starbucks fan and a very loyal friend according to everyone who knew her. She attended Patriot Oaks Academy, a school that was home to gifted and tenacious children. There, apart from being one of the top students, she was also one of the most beloved cheerleaders. But something happened one morning. The girl just disappeared. Welcome to Guilty or Not, where we take a look at the world's most gruesome cases, analyse them, and try to figure out why the perpetrator did their horrible deed. Grab a cup of coffee or tea, find a cosy place, and let's dive into the case of Aiden Fucci. On Mother's Day, May the 9th, her parents were already up preparing breakfast. They had no reason to think anything had occurred to Tristyn. Miss Bailey tried to wake up her daughter at 10 a.m, but, to her surprise, her daughter wasn't in her room. Immediately, the authorities were contacted. It truly was a strange event. In the entire history of the neighbourhood, nothing like this had ever happened. Not one person went missing until Tristyn. Durbin Crossing is a unique community where children played outside without a care in the world. This close-knit area is recognised for having little police activity and crime, with no kidnappings or murders. Nevertheless, a community-wide search ensues after her mother reports her daughter missing. Everyone got involved and hundreds of flyers were made in the hope that someone had seen Tristyn. Finally, around 1:15 a.m, Tristyn Bailey was spotted on one of the surveillance cameras. Taking into account the late hour, it was assumed that she left the house without her parents' knowledge or consent. She was strolling through the parking lot of an amenity centre with her friend Aiden Fucci, who was 14 years old. Several security cameras captured them strolling through the neighbourhood and into the wooded area. A classmate of Tristyn and Fucci told St. John's authorities that the two had been hanging out at his place and departed together at 1 a.m. They seemed like they wanted to take a stroll under the moonlight. The security cameras didn't catch anything for a while, but 3 hours later, Aiden Fucci was spotted leaving the wooded area. This time, though, he was alone. There was no sign of Tristyn. After analysing the video, the cops went to Aiden's residence and questioned him, demanding that he would show them the exact path that he took while he was accompanied by Tristyn. While in the police car, he posted a picture of himself on social media with the caption, "Hey guys, has anyone seen Tristyn?" Fucci's cousin said that he was often at her house. The girl also stated that she had last seen her cousin on May the 1st, but she had spoken to Fucci after he had sent her a photo of himself, taken from the patrol car's back seat. That photo became viral among their peers. When questioned if she had ever seen Fucci acting strangely, his cousin allegedly said that he had informed her that he might go to jail one day. Being the last person that was in contact with Tristyn, he became a suspect. When the cops searched his room, they found blood-stained clothing and demonic paintings. Also, images of girls with X's on their genitals and limbs slashed were discovered. When questioned why it took him so long to return home, Fucci told officers that he walked alone for a while and he got home between 3 and 3:30 a.m. 16 hours later, a gruesome discovery was made. Tristyn's body was found as one of the neighbours was out jogging. He noticed something in a bushy area next to a lake. The police were called immediately, and upon investigating, they noticed that she was stabbed multiple times. The police identified the body and called the parents to verify whether it was their daughter, which it was. She was completely clothed, therefore there was no suspicion of rape. So how did the girl's body end up there, stabbed several times? The community rapidly learned what had happened to her, and they became enraged. They began looking at personal security footage, working side by side with the cops to uncover the murderer. Because her corpse was recovered near a lake, officials searched the body of water for days. They didn't specify, but it was suspected that they were hunting for the murder weapon. Aiden, the main suspect, was transferred to St. John's juvenile detention. His first court appearance was through Zoom, and the recording was posted online. The court stated that there was probable cause to keep the youngster in custody and that he will stay there until the matter is resolved at the end of May. After the boy's arrest, one of the detectives who worked in that region for almost a decade expressed his confidence in the case. This meant that they were certain they had the proper culprit and that he had murdered Tristyn by stabbing her multiple times. There was no doubt about it. Her death shattered community boundaries and became nationwide. People expressed their remorse, but also their disdain for Aiden on social media. Others chose Aiden's side, claiming she deserved it and the cops should let him go. But there was another group of people. They took the matter as a joke, stating things like, "This is how I get famous?" They linked this heinous crime to a method of becoming viral. Because so many people were talking about it, a lot of false rumours spread across the internet, but the police released an official statement to separate fact from fiction. While this was going on, the police were focused on finding the motive. The kids went to a private school, one of the best in the country. They lived in a pristine community, and there was no reason for anything like this to happen. But as they would find out, Aiden didn't grow up there. His mother and him moved there 6 months before the murder. Even though he went to the same school and lived in the same area as the others, he had different beliefs and ideals. Later in the investigation, the boy, despite still being a minor, was taken out of the juvenile detention centre and arrested as an adult, pending his trial. When asked by reporters if Aiden will share detention space with adults, one of his officers said that he will not, momentarily, and even though he will be trialed as an adult, he will be kept separate from other inmates. But as you will hear later, that wasn't the case for long. His charges were first-degree capital murder, indicating the trial will be taken very seriously. If convicted, he would face life in jail without parole. Of course, many people thought it was inhumane, even though what he did to the 13-year-old girl was unforgivable. You may question why they were so harsh on him. Remember how Tristyn was stabbed numerous times? It turns out that figure is staggering. Bailey was stabbed 114 times. This number of wounds clearly indicates a killing intent. Divers soon recovered the murder weapon in the lake. They believe Aiden used the knife to attack his friend because part of the blade was missing and it was found in one of the stab wounds located in the girl's skull. The cops believe he only stopped at 114 because the knife broke. 49 stabs were determined to be defensive. They happened in Tristyn's hands, arms and legs, showing how she struggled for her life until her last breath. They had a lot of evidence against Aiden now, and they knew he did it, even if he hadn't acknowledged doing the crime. Some of his friends' remarks were also considered evidence. According to the authorities, Aiden had been telling his closest friends and girlfriend that he planned to kill someone. He allegedly said that he would do it in 30 days and that he would drag his victim into the woods. Aiden said this a month before Tristyn was murdered, so as it turns out, he kept his word. According to the state attorney, there is no doubt in his mind that this is a case of first-degree premeditated murder. Aiden wanted to do it and planned it for some time, but he just didn't have a victim in mind. Tristyn was unlucky to be there at that moment. Tristyn's family spoke to the press several times. They poured their hearts out about what had happened to their daughter. They wanted other young girls to know Tristyn's story and to be more careful with who they hung around with. They wanted other parents to know that teenagers can be dangerous and that they should be watched closely, especially if they exhibit unusual behaviour. Things took a very weird turn. During the investigation, Aiden's mother was allegedly charged with tampering with evidence. She allegedly went into her son's room before the cops started looking around and cleaned his blood-stained jeans in the sink. How did the police find out that she'd washed the pair of jeans? Well, inside their house, his mum set up security cameras, and when the authorities took the clothes, they also confiscated the recorded footage, seeing the woman committing a felony. Inside the house, during the washing of the piece of clothing, There was another person who told Aiden's mum not to do that because she would get in trouble. But the woman didn't listen and proceeded to wash the bloodstains. She looked stressed and ran around the house while still looking out of the window. Remember that this happened before the body was found, and supposedly she had no reason to be worried. They didn't know that Tristyn was dead yet. She was freed from jail immediately after her arrest. Later, information concerning one of her sheriff's station interviews was made public. After interviewing Aiden and his parents, the officer departed the room. The family remained there, just the three of them, and the two parents instructed Aiden to stick to his story. This might suggest they knew everything about what had happened, but chose to remain silent. They headed towards the woods according to his story. Tristyn did not turn onto her street according to Fucci. On North Durbin Parkway, they had kept walking together. Fucci told detectives that Tristyn grabbed his penis as the two went along Lethal Drive, making him mad and resulting in an altercation. According to the report, he informed investigators that he shoved her hard to the ground, where she struck her head, and he left her there. Aiden was also questioned if he wore jeans that night during the interview. His mother interjected, saying he was wrong and he wore khakis, seeking to protect her son by lying about a matter that would be vital in his trial. His girlfriend also stated that he carried knives and called them picker and poker. When asked about the knives, she allegedly described one of them as looking exactly like the one they found in the lake. Aiden ended up in detention alongside grown-ups. The prosecution said they had a surprise witness for his trial from the county jail. The inmate's name remained unknown, but it is assumed that he learned more about the crime when Aiden mentioned it to him or other inmates. Aiden Fucci appeared via video stream from the Duval County Prison before his pre-trial hearing. He was wearing an orange jumpsuit and a confused expression. It seems that he still acted like he had no idea why he was going through all of this. Fucci was led handcuffed into a room with a phone so that he could hear the court proceedings. He appeared frightened and looked around the room with a dazed expression. A guard came into the room, took the phone receiver off the wall and handed it to Fucci, who flipped his long hair back and continued looking disorientated as he held the receiver to his ear. Did the time he spent in jail get to him? He then started rocking back and forth in his seat. At one point, he can be heard talking about demons, saying that demons will take his soul, and he was sure that they would. But it didn't stop there. "Why am I here?" he said, before asking what was going on. "I just want to call my parents. What's up? What's up?" Aiden Fucci's stream ended. His lawyer submitted a fast trial waiver and the case was postponed until October the 28th. An unaffiliated forensic psychologist said that he wouldn't be shocked if Fucci received a mental competence examination after seeing the court broadcast footage. The doctor stated Fucci appears bewildered and confused, and it's difficult to know if he's acting or truly has a mental disease. From his perspective, it appeared real, based on his actions and what we know. D'Arienzo said Fucci's previous patterns of behaviour would likely play a part in the case. A competence examination in a case like Fucci's is not uncommon, but it might prolong the case, according to attorney Jean Nichols. Young people often get evaluated before the trial, and it sometimes can take months until a verdict is reached. At this time, the judge has not ordered Fucci to have a mental competency evaluation, and investigators have also not said if he suffers from a mental disorder. A separate hearing, scheduled Wednesday for Crystal Smith, Fucci's mother, was also passed to October the 28th. She is still under investigation for tampering with evidence. On October the 28th, another charge occurred. Aiden Fucci skipped court on Thursday. Action News Jax reported that he and his mother, Crystal Smith, had been expected in court at 9 a.m. Fucci made a quick appearance before his new pre-trial date was set for February the 2nd, according to reporter Dawn White. The case is still under investigation, and we could assume that, given all the evidence, Aiden will get life in prison, but only time will tell. This was the case of Aiden Fucci. Let us know in the comments what your take is on it. Did he really have a mental illness? Were demons talking to him? Or did he just enjoy the sight of blood? We're very curious to know if you consider him guilty or not. Until next time, keep your eyes peeled all the time.